Our guest began writing at the age of 8, when some sad, sorry teacher showed him the whiff of a poem by Ted Hughes. Certainly a lot of reason to be alarmed by that. A lot of reason to be alarmed. And on this sniff of a poem, this person has gone along and suggested other people should write things and encourage them. I don't know why. I don't understand what that's about. But when I was younger, my mother was always knitting. She'd cast off, cable stitching words into knots that would congregate in rows like sentences. Each line reading, "I love you." The sound of needles clicking, cheek kissing, following a wavy pattern whilst watching television. And my father, he'd go out fishing, wearing thick woolen socks and a jumper made from balls of yarn hooked away from Aaron. I'd bury my head in his chest when he got home, feel a sea of fibres brush against my skin, smelling engine oil, finding the occasional stray iron filing, enough to start a stitch unravelling like fleece caught on a barbed wire fence. One morning, my mother woke to find an iron filing in her eye, as if an elven tailor dropped it while she slept after a hectic night stitching her dreams together. They went their separate ways, coming apart like a piece of frayed fabric. A stray thread of a child, I watched as the years unpicked underarm stitches and grazed away elbows. Father grew older, his hair and beard speckled with grey as you'd find it in Aaron. His breath spun out on cable-stitched waves as he rested his head on a fisherman's jumper. All the wool and the needles are now packed away, and Mother spends most of her time these days baking, casting air into sponges with words she won't say, yet hoping they'll reel home the catch through the tasting. This is one of the things that I love about poems, right? I love the fact that it's an opportunity to connect back to a point in time and to try and clarify a moment in a life, and to understand that, and for that to be something that's brighter somehow for the lens that language casts upon it. And over the years I spent a lot of time really thinking about this, about what is it we do when we write, and everybody's got like a different reason. Some people write because they want to be heard by like loads of people, and then other people write because they just want to figure stuff out for themselves, and we all come to it with a really different sort of set of parameters. And the more I do, the more I think that set of parameters for me is just to understand the world a little bit better and understand my own place within that, and also the other people who've been there. Southampton is like, it's a crazy place, isn't it, right? We're like a city that's got so much stuff to celebrate, I think, anyway. We've got beautiful parks, we've got beautiful people, we've got a massive history. People like Philip Hoare, who we heard earlier, he'll talk about the times when, this was a royal spa and people would come here, and, there would be the royal boats going to the Isle of Wight, and it's just immense. And it's like, oh, wow, thanks for sharing that with us. And it always struck me, like, why are we a city that celebrates a ship that sank? What the fuck is that about? You know, it's so sorry, isn't it? It's so sorry. And then I started thinking, well, you know, we've got this thing, right? We've got like the Spitfire. Could you imagine it, like Southampton, Spitfire City, defender of the air. Doesn't that sound great? I think it sounds great. And I wrote a series of poems that was commissioned by Southampton festivals, the last festival, about the Spitfire. And as I was doing that work, I started learning more about it and thinking, well, the Spitfire was also like really responsible for the destruction of this city. You know, we are a city that they bombed the shit out of it, you know, because of the fact that we were producing this plane. And so, again, I'd sort of learned something, and this poem is for Reg Mitchell, who's another famous sort of Southampton son, Spitfire designer. It goes like this. For you, Reg, Spit wasn't held inside jaws, with the cat-caught tongue, the forced confession. It didn't belong on sawdusted floors with dummies, insults, doctors' instructions. It wasn't restricted to wood in a blaze, or fat from a frying pan escaping heat, a unit of measurement made by a spade, or interruptions that took you from your seat. It wasn't a land finger poking the sea, a pointless identity facing the wind. It wasn't a mistaken identity, or just out of reach as you proved in the end. No. Your projectiles would conquer the air, propelling your name through time, landing it here.